The Northeast region. Land and water of the Northeast. The region between the coasts of the Atlantic Ocean and the Great Lakes is called the Northeast region. The Northeast region includes 11 states. You can see a picture of those states on the right side over here. We're in Massachusetts. We live right over here where my cursor is. The Northeast region has broad valleys, rolling hills, and low mountains. The Appalachian Mountains stretch from Maine in the Northeast region down to Alabama in the Southeast region. Several different mountain ranges make up the Appalachian Mountains, including the Allegheny Mountains and the Pocono Mountains and the Adirondack Mountains and the Catskills. The Appalachian Mountains are one of the oldest mountain ranges in the world. Although they used to be very tall, they are much smaller now. Over time, water, wind, and ice have caused the rocks of the mountains to slowly break down. Now, the peaks of the Appalachian Mountains are smooth and rounded. The longest hiking trail in the world is in the Appalachian Trail. It goes from Maine to Georgia along the spine of the mountain range. Through more than 2,000 miles of valleys, hills, and rivers. The Appalachian Trail is a very popular place to hike. There are many people who have hiked the entire trail. So there's a picture right here, and the caption says, "The tops of the Appalachian Mountains have been worn down over many millions of years." Mount Washington in New Hampshire is part of the Appalachian Mountain Range. At 6,288 feet tall, Mount Washington is the highest peak in the Northeast. Mount Washington has some of the world's most severe weather. It can snow all year long. The peak of Mount Washington is also one of the windiest places on Earth. The highest wind speed ever recorded there was 231 miles per hour. There's a picture, and the caption says, "From the top of Mount Washington, visitors can see for hundreds miles." The land in the lower part of the Northeast region is good for farming, but the upper part of the region does not have much fertile land. The soil in the part that is very rocky. Long ago, mile-thick sheets of ice called glaciers covered much of the land. As the glaciers moved across the land, they wore down mountains, carved deep grooves in the coastline, and carried away most of the fertile soil. The melting glaciers formed many lakes. Rocks and sand left behind by glaciers formed islands and capes. Today, jagged cliffs rise up to 100 feet above the ocean on the northern coast. There are many lighthouses along the rocky coastline of the Northeast region. Their lights and foghorns keep ships from crashing into the rocky shore. The most well-known lighthouse is in West Quoddy Head, Maine. West Quoddy Head is the most northeastern point of the United States. The most important waterway in the region is the Erie Canal, which connects the Great Lakes to the Atlantic Ocean. A canal is a ditch dug across land to connect one waterway with another. The Erie Canal is 363 miles long. Work on the Erie Canal began in 1817 and was finished in 1825. Before the Erie Canal was dug, there was no waterway that crossed the Appalachian Mountains. Moving goods by boats is faster and cheaper than traveling across land, so it was very difficult and expensive to move goods from the Northeast region to other parts of the country without the Erie Canal. Lake Ontario and Lake Erie form part of the border of the Northeast region. Lake Ontario and Lake Erie are two of the 5 Great Lakes. You can see an image here with a caption. It says, "There are 5 Great Lakes. Lake Huron, Lake Ontario, Lake Michigan, Lake Erie, and Lake Superior. The Great Lakes are a group of 5 freshwater lakes located in eastern Northern America on the border between Canada and the United States. The Great Lakes are so large that they can be seen from the moon. The Lakes hold 1/5 of all the fresh water in the world. As water flows out of Lake Erie into Lake Ontario, it flows over Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is a 160-foot waterfall, the second largest waterfall in the world. Niagara Falls is on the border between Canada and the United States. Climate. The Northeast region is about halfway between the North Pole and the equator, so the climate is very different than the climate of the Southeast. Winters in the Northeast are long and cold, with lots of snowstorms. Oh, we know about winters and snow days. One kind of snowstorm, called a northeastern, can bring over a foot of snow at one time. During the cold winter months, Lake Erie may freeze over completely. Summers are warm, but short compared to those in the Southeast region. And then there's an image. It says the Northeast region has frequent snowstorms in the winter. The climate affects the people, animals, and plants that live there. People have to cope with cold winters. Animals' food suppliers change with the seasons. Squirrels bury nuts to dig up in winter. Bears and other animals hibernate. They sleep for up to 100 days. Trees like maple and oaks drop their leaves each winter to survive the lack of water. Products and natural resources. The Northeast region has lots of forests, and logging is an important industry there. Trees are cut down to make houses, paper, furniture, and fuel. Vermont is known throughout the world for its delicious maple syrup, produced from the sap of a sugar maple tree. Some of the resources of the Northeast come from underground, like granite, marble, and coal. Granite and marble are used to make buildings. Vermont has the largest granite quarries in the country. The Northeast region has many rivers and waterfalls. This was very important in the growth of the region because the power produced by the running water made it possible for people to build mills or factories. By using water-driven power, people could run machines and make things much faster than they could at home by hand. Today, factories use other sources of power instead of water power, but the Northeast region continues to be an important manufacturing center in the United States. Iron, glass, steel, and many chemicals such as shampoos, paints, and medicines are manufactured in the Northeast. The soil in parts of the Northeast region is rocky and the growing season is short, but some fruits and vegetables are grown in Northeast. Farmers grow blueberries and potatoes. Other farmers produce chicken, milk from dairy cows, and flowers. Cranberries are grown in the sandy marshes in the Northeast region. Massachusetts is called the cranberry capital of America because it produces nearly 2 million barrels of cranberries a year. And on the image on the right, it says cranberries grow in damp bogs and swampy areas. The Atlantic Ocean is an important resource for fish, lobster, and shellfish. Once these shellfish are caught, they are shipped to food stores and restaurants all over the country. Fish farming is called aquaculture. Fish are raised on farms and are sold for the purpose of eating. This helps protect the population of fish that are born in a natural environment. Landmarks. There is beautiful scenery throughout the Northeast region. Many tourists visit the Northeast region in the fall to see the brightly colored autumn leaves. These tourists are known as leaf peepers. The capital city of the United States is located in the Northeast region. The capital city is called Washington, D.C. DC stands for District of Columbia. The White House, the Capitol, the Supreme Court, and many other government buildings are located in Washington, D.C. Philadelphia's historical museums welcome people from around the U.S. each year. You can visit Independence Hall, where the U.S. Constitution was written. The Liberty Bell, Betsy Ross's house, and Ben Franklin's post office are located in Philadelphia. Visitors to the Northeast can also take a tour of the Crayola factory. Fascinated visitors can watch swinging vats of heated wax spin around and dump their colorful contents into molds. Just minutes later, 1,200 perfect crayons pop out and move along the line towards sorting, boxing, and packaging machines. Tourists can also create art projects with many of Crayola's products and visit Big Blue, the world's largest crayon. Big Blue is 15 feet long, weighs 1,500 pounds, and was formed from blue Crayola scrapped leftolas mailed in from kids around the country as part of Crayola's 100th birthday celebration. Tourists can also visit Hershey, Pennsylvania, the sweetest place on earth. 100 years ago, Milton Hershey started a candy business using mass production, a way of making large amounts of the same product. The Hershey bar was America's first mass-produced candy bar. Today, Hershey Factory is the largest chocolate factory in the world. Visitors can design their own candy bar, work in factories packaging kisses, and ride the roller coasters at Hershey Park. Because of the factory, the whole town smells like chocolate. New York City, New York, is the largest city in the United States. It is home to over 8 million people. To make room for all these people, New Yorkers began building skyscrapers. The first skyscrapers were built over 100 years ago. People live and work in these very tall buildings. The Empire State Building is New York's most famous skyscraper. The office building has 102 floors. Millions of tourists visit New York every year. They enjoy museums and plays. They visit famous places like the Statue of Liberty. Culture. 2 of our most popular sports were invented in the Northeast region. Dr. James Naismith in Springfield, Massachusetts, invented basketball in 1891. You can visit the Basketball Hall of Fame here. 4 years later, William Morgan invented volleyball in Holyoke, Massachusetts. A group of people called the Amish live in Pennsylvania. Because of their religious beliefs, they do not use electricity or telephones in their homes or use cars or tractors. Clam chowder, crab cakes, lobster, and other seafoods are among Northeast region's most popular foods. Because there are so many dairy farms in this region, people eat a lot of dairy products too. In fact, Northeasterns eat more ice cream per person than any other religion in the United States. Baked beans, potato chips, and buffalo wings were all invented in the Northeast region.